Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the Intelligent Automation World Series, Day 1. And now we are ready to start yet another exciting session where we're going to talk about human versus bots and how to monitor your hybrid processes from end to end. Before we jump into that and I have a chance to introduce our partner and presenter, let me walk you through a couple of quick logistics to ensure you can get the best experience from today's session. Your screen on the audience view is widget-driven, which means you can raise, lower, move things around, minimize them as you would like. Let me guide you to the left-hand side where you can see a question box. If you encounter any issues, if you have any questions related to the conference week as a whole, put that information in there. Ashley will be sure to get right back to you. Also, we want to engage with you. We're going to have multiple ways to do that. We're going to show you some product information. We're going to ask polling questions from you. We would also like your questions. Don't feel like you need to hold them to the very end. Ask them when they come to mind. We'll queue those all up, and I'll go ahead and present them to our speaker at the end of the presentation. And then next, don't have to go to an in-person event to get some great networking and wonderful giveaways. On the right-hand side, you're going to see my little bio and headshot as well as our speakers so that you can connect with us on LinkedIn, email, or anything else to keep the conversation going. Questions usually come up just as soon as the session ends, so be sure to take those buttons, the opportunity to connect and keep the conversations going. And then finally, in the lower right-hand side of your screen, you see the Resource Center, which we refer to as a digital gift bag. We have 3 fabulous items for you. We have a little overview of the product that we're going to be talking about today. A very, very useful ebook. It really talks to you about how to get RPA and automation right in this day and age. There's a video that talks about ROI. So a lot of you have been writing me. We've had several sessions today where people have been talking about how to calculate it, what are the benefits, that type of stuff. So be sure to take an opportunity to look at that video. I know you're going to be so engaged in this session that you probably won't be downloading them at the same time, so don't worry. Tomorrow you're going to get a link to the session for the recording. At that time, you can open the link and you could download all of those resource items there and share away. So with that, a bit of logistics out of the way, I would love to welcome Mikhail to the stage, who's going to be talking to us about human versus bots and introducing the session, introducing our topic, and taking us through a great journey about that background. Mikhail, welcome to the digital stage. Now over to you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on your time zone, of course. My name is Michal Rosig. I'm working as a Chief Product Officer in Minit, which is a company producing a process intelligence software based on the process mining algorithms. And thank you very much for attending of this session. The topic today is humans versus bots, so how to monitor your processes end to end. Honestly, we are always talking about humans, about bots, and we use the word versus between those. And it is a bit controversial maybe or confusing, and I don't like the word versus because it means something like a fight between those two. And actually in this session I would like to talk about how humans and human workforce can work together with bots and robotic workforce in a synergy. So let's jump right into it. In a minute, we are looking at the processes and business processes from many different angles. So we are looking at the whole process lifecycle. The process intelligence looks and drills down into the business processes from the viewpoint of process analysis. So we discover processes in data. We show enterprises the real as-is state of their processes. We bring transparency to the processes. We look at how human resources are utilized in those processes and allow the analysts and consultants to drill down into that. We help with process redefinition as the second step of the lifecycle, where you can really come with and identify bottlenecks in the processes, come up with ways how to optimize your process and redefine it for better automation or for better understanding of your process. Of course, Minute and process intelligence looks at process monitoring. So the idea behind our products is to allow continuous process monitoring, and that's the topic for today as well. And Accompanied with that is the process compliance, of course. So if you have any legislative or any regulations and legislation that is forcing your process to be and to work in a certain way, we can show you how that fulfills that requirements. And Minute and process mining tools in general are very often used in auditing. And of course, process improvement. I've talked about the optimization and the improvement, the continuous improvement coming from the monitoring and reanalyzing the process and comparing the process with the original one is actually giving you the continuous improvement and is finalizing the process lifecycle. So how does it work? Of course, for those of you who don't know anything about Minute and maybe even process mining, so we have users, we have employees in the companies who are using information system, mostly information systems like line of business information systems like SAP, Salesforce, Zendesk, Freshdesk, Infor, you can name it. So mostly, or any other custom systems that you have in your enterprises. They're using them, they're filling some forms, they're saving data, and those systems are saving traces of what has happened in that process, what has happened in that particular system, whether someone has created an order, approved an order, sent some invoice, and so on. All these traces are saved in databases, in files, somewhere on the servers, and these were data that were not used otherwise than for auditing purposes. But right now we are using them to really discover the processes and helping you analyze the reality, mostly in unstructured processes, but also in automated processes. There is a next step where we gather these data using some ETL platforms and solutions, like you can see the example of Alteryx in there, or any other ETL platform that is available or that the enterprise already is using. And Minute allows you to connect to that data and visualize the processes, drill down into them, and analyze them and optimize them and monitor them. So why customers choose Minute? Basically, it's because Minute offers the best performance for a competitive price compared with other tools. We can do the same performance on a much less expensive hardware. Work with the tool should be fun. So we like to really turn the boring business process analysis into a funny stuff with a lot of nice visualizations and colorfulness and so on. We focus on meaningful features, not giving priority to marketing features or features that are not really thought thoroughly, but really when we release something, it has to have sense and it must bring values to the enterprises. It's easy to learn. We have customers who really did not need any training to use the software. The deployment is taking really basically hours or days in some complex scenarios, and it's on the other hand enterprise ready. So even though we are talking about simplification and simplicity of usage, it really is easy and on the other hand enterprise ready. Many industry leaders trust our software and process mining in general, like BDO, like Stora Enso, Marsan of Swiss Re, to name a few, and of course other customers and prospects that we are working with. So I think there is a lot of experience in that, and we will talk about the experience with process mining and robotic process automation a little bit further. But right now, I would like to give it back to Rochelle and for the first poll question. Rochelle, can you please?
Certainly, and as I promised, you'll get to engage early and often, so here's your first chance. We would like to learn from you, what do you consider to be the greatest benefit of using process mining with an RPA initiative? Is it the possibility to standardize processes before automation? Is it the identification of right candidates for RPA? Is it gaining overall transparency into the processes? or monitoring and measuring performances of bots. I know that many of you want to check more than one, but we're trying to figure out the greatest one. So if you can please say what you feel would be the greatest benefit of process mining with your RPA initiatives. And based on a number of people online, I'm going to see if we can get 4 more votes out of you. So just select one of those answers, and looks like we got it. Thanks so much. And let's go ahead and look at those results. We got a forerunner there, the identification of the right candidates for RPA. What do you think about this? Is this what you expected?
Yeah, actually, it is what I expected, although the topic is monitoring today, so that's 3%. But anyway, I think, and that's basically the talk about. So in the next slides, I will, and the first demonstration, I would like to talk about really really the first topic, the most important one, and that's the identification of the RPA candidates. And then I would like to slowly go to the monitoring, because, and I hope I will persuade you that that the monitoring deserves more than this 3%. So RPA and PM, RPA and process mining, that's really something that that makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of experience. I would say we even started evangelizing this synergy 1.5 years ago, working together with RPA vendors to bring the value to, and I think we made them think about process mining. They are really pursuing process mining in their lives. Although it's still early days, I know 1.5 years is not much, but anyway, the functionality, I think, is slowly moving forward. It's focusing on synergy of RPA and process mining. There are many use cases where you can really find that synergy, where the transparency, as you seen in the poll results, really knowing the process and analyzing the process before it is automated just makes a lot of sense. Even though many companies, many enterprises, what they do right now is just jump right into the automation, and they say, we automate everything. We do not care about how the process works, if it works good or bad. We just want to have everything automated. But then the ROI is not coming back. You do not see the benefits, and many RPA initiatives are getting stuck because of this. And I'm glad that it shows first results. So it's really, we have a few customers, few prospects who really think and believe in that synergy. And that synergy is basically based on this kind of process. So first of all, user interacts with systems that I already mentioned, but interacts in this case means that they are using the system, they are clicking there, they are typing there, and everything that is being done in that system is logged. So it's not about logging that the order has been created, but really logging what the person has been doing in their work with respect to any application that is available. And this log data contains these traces of the process. So it's important to find the data and make sense of it and connect the data with the tool. So that's basically the process that is leading and using process mining to really find the best RPA candidates. So let me show it to you live, how we approach this, and I would like to share the screen and show it to you right there in the application. So yeah, so here we are in a minute in the project hub, and we have loaded the log from a invoice approval process. From one of our customers, and usually the process mining analysis is you load the event log, the events that happened in the system, and you get this visualization automatically without any need for modeling. and the standard process mining analysis allows you to look at this so-called frequential analysis. So you see the process as is, the halo effects, the thickness of the lines, just showing you the most frequent path in the process. You can easily switch to the performance view to show the potential bottlenecks. So to see the mean duration of the individual activities there, or you can look at the financial data and where the money flows in the process. Of course, having a detailed view on specific activity, we are able to identify reworks. To see which activities are causing the reworks, the loops in the process, which activities are basically the finalizers of these loops, and take care of getting the waste rate. Of course, there are many different views, like complete statistics that we are calculating around all the attributes. So for example, here we can see the case duration influencer, where the individual attributes of the event logs are just having impact on the process. So we see which of these attribute values are how affecting the case duration, the duration of the process instances. You can also very easily analyze the variance from the viewpoint of variant DNA, meaning you can clearly see how standardized your process is. You can go into details of different variants and look at the potential bottlenecks in these, look at the financial data there, and go to individual cases. But this is a standard process mining analysis, right? This is, for those of you who know process mining and how it works, this is nothing special. Now, let's imagine that we have some manual tasks in that process. And of course, we want to know what is happening there. Are there any RPA candidates? We don't want to guess. We don't want to focus on activities just based on our, estimation or feeling that something is automatable. So how we'll look at the data right now, what are we introducing is called hierarchical process mining. And you can see the same process, but there is a slight change. And you can see that the activity called manual entering of the order number, which is right here, just changed to a so-called cluster. And that's a recording session. So what we do to identify the RPA candidates is that we record what the users are doing on their computers, clicking, typing, everything they are doing in their applications. And we combine it with the high-level log that is understandable for the business users with the high-level activities, and combine it together so you can drill down into it, right? So you can drill down into this recording session and see which application have been used, right? There is SAP here, so we can drill down even more and open that cluster and open what happened in that window, and so on and so forth. Go really deeper and use the same process mining analysis to see how much time it took for the user, to how much time he or she spent on that particular activity. So if I just make a shortcut and expand it all, you will see the same high-level log that you've seen in the previous example, but here with the complete recording that you can analyze really to the level of clicking and typing and so on. And now we can use the same process mining analysis, so we can drill down using filters. And I can filter just the applications like SAP and Chrome because they are relevant for that process, and cut out that part of the process so that we see something like this. And here we already see there is some routine that is going on, that someone is really searching for an order number in SAP and then copying and pasting the value into the Chrome. So that's the story behind this use case. And how can we automate it? So we go to this variant analysis, let's say, and we just have two variants. There is a first person who is using this, pretty straightforward. There's a second one who's using the same applications, but in a different way, jumping from one activity to another, clicking there, because using maybe some kind of strange search criteria and so on. So we can just analyze these variants and choose the one that is taking less time less average time. And actually what you see here in that process map, simplified process map of that variant, is the skeleton of the bot. So really, we came using this very simple process mining analysis to something that is forming a skeleton of the bot, and we are working also on creating those bots really with the RPA vendors. So that's the next step, probably in a very near future, where you can just export it and use it as a skeleton. And of course, there is some development needed. Those of you who've been through some RPA initiatives already know that, but it really makes sense to make this analysis beforehand and to base your finding of the RPA candidates base it on data, not just on some kind of guesstimation, right? Okay, so let's get back to the slides. And I think we have the second poll question here.
We do. Let's go ahead and jump right into that. Yes. So now that you heard a little bit more about the product, let's learn a little bit more from all of you. Did your RPA product run into trouble? So if you have already started on this initiative, have you already encountered some roadblocks? If so, which of the following applies? Was it the wrong processes were chosen to automate? Well, do you have insufficient support from your essential stakeholders? Was the solution that you chose just not the right fit for your project, or maybe not the right fit for your organization? Or you're one of those lucky ones that has not yet run into any trouble in your RPA project? Give us a little indication on which is the case so that we might talk you a little bit through how to navigate some of those challenges, those roadblocks that you might be encountering. Some of you are still switching back over from the media player back to the polling question. So I'm going to give you another just couple more, maybe 30 more seconds to give more people a chance to answer the question. You can also indicate we've not experienced any trouble if, in fact, you haven't even started yet. So that would be another way to answer that bit of a question. So I think they gave us enough time to get some more results. So let's go ahead and look at that. And wow, so hats off to the 26% of the people who've not yet had a problem. Good for you. And hopefully we can learn from you, put some comments in. Maybe you've done all of this quite well. Almost an even split between the wrong process and not good support from stakeholders. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, wrong process, definitely something I would expect, and that's the answer is using other ways like process mining to analyze the processes and choose the right process beforehand. Of course, the insufficient support from the stakeholders. Yeah, that's something very complex, and we might see also that really some of the stakeholders are looking at the ROIs in other companies and how they continue with their RPA initiatives, and I really hope that that part for the monitoring part of this presentation will give you a bit more let's say confidence in starting and continuing your RPA journey with process mining in mind. So here, when we look at the RPA lifecycle, which basically copies in a way the process lifecycle, we see process mining in the beginning, really, to identify the business process, in the business process discovery part, where you can use a standard process mining analysis to really find the process that is causing too much pain, that is important for you, should be compliant but is not. It gives you a data-based view on your processes, gives you transparency, gives you possibility to drill down into that. And we see it also in the business process analysis that is used to identify the activities in the process that should be automated. Not based on guess, but based on data. And then, of course, there's the redesign and the implementation that are the parts which are done with the consultants and with the RPA vendors or RPA vendor partners. But we also see an important role of process mining in the business monitoring phase, which gives basically the idea of continuous improvement. So the goal of the monitoring is to leverage this process intelligence technology to monitor and analyze end-to-end business processes. This, of course, has some requirements. One of that is that there are traces of the process in those line of business systems, and the event logs are available. So we take those and we combine it with the processes or parts of the processes, because in most cases we are talking about hybrid processes where just several tasks in the whole process tasks are automated using RPA technology. So if there are parts which are automated using RPA technology, we can also take data from those bots' executions. And those bots must be, of course, executed either in attended or unattended way, but by being triggered by an event from the high-level process. And if we get this data and combine it, we can monitor the end-to-end process. The idea behind monitoring the end-to-end process is that with most of the RPA vendors, when you look at the dashboards they provide, and it's understandable, they monitor the bots only. And in most cases, if the bots are implemented well, they perform well, they are fast, they are most of the time up and running. You can, of course, see some problems, you can see some failed bots, but that's nothing to worry about. You can correct that. But on the other hand, you still might not get the right ROI. And the idea is that the problem is not in the bots. So for the monitoring, we have a very similar process like for the identification of the RPA candidates. And in the beginning, we identify the business process because there are some requirements for monitoring. Then to set up the bot logging mechanisms, monitor the execution, and there is a correlation process that is running and being executed to correlate the high-level event logs with the low-level or low granularity event logs from the bot execution. Of course, minute analysis is the next step. Report presentation, so the analysts present the reports, but most important, it's the continuous monitoring. So to set up the production and to set up a regular look at the end-to-end process and continuously monitor it. So if we look at the identification of the business process, as I said, there are some requirements. The activities, some or all activities in the process should be automated, and the high-level event logs should be available to be able to correlate those two together. If we look at, if we look at setting up the bot logging mechanism, Minute offers prepared packages and installation guides for deployment of what we call a bot log collecting hub. That's a component that you can have either you can deploy on-prem or in the cloud, and it's something that is collecting those logs from the bots because there are actually two ways how to log the activities, and I will show that in a second in a diagram. But those data must be collected somewhere. So for this, we already prepared the bot log collecting hub. And as a counterpart for that is the bot collection components. And we have this prepared for the either the UiPath or Automation Anywhere. We are working with other RPA vendors on the same stuff. So having a package and installation guide, again, of course, we can guide you through that to have this implemented into your bots and be able to send the data and correlate the data with your high-level event logs. There's some design time modification needed for the bots, and I will jump on that scheme. So the bot needs some input arguments so that it is possible to correlate it with the high-level event logs. Must be triggered, the bot from that event log or manually from that high-level process or manually by the person. And the bot logger or a meta bot, in case of, for example, Automation Anywhere component in the design time is inserted into the bot definition. The idea behind that is that you have as I said, two ways of logging. The first one is the default RPA technology, runtime logging. So when the bots are executed, everything on a very granular level is logged. Of course, not many enterprises want to switch on such a logging because it can affect performance, and of course there is a lot of maybe unnecessary data logged as well. So for that case, we have this bot logger or metabot components, bot logging components that can be initiated by the runtime of the bot, but only on specific places. So, for example, if the bot is filling out a form with 20 fields, you might not be interested on a granularity level of filling each field, but you might be just interested in how much time and how precise is the filling of the whole form. And that's the way how you can reduce the number of events logged by the bot, but get enough information to monitor what you need. All this data is sent to the bot log collecting hub, and then correlated with the high-level event logs. And for the high-level line of business system logs, they should be extracted on a regular basis. If data is available, it is good to have for a pre-RPA process logs, because then you can compare with the original one, and I will show that in a demonstration in a minute. They are collected in a unified location, and then the correlation procedure is executed for the minute analysis. When you analyze it in minute, event log is imported. The correlated one, you can analyze the end-to-end process, including the human activities, including the bot executions, and find basically the bottlenecks in that process. And of course, you can create analytical reports. You can create interactive dashboards that you can then, of course, present to your transfer to the production usage. And we're talking there about deployment options, whether you want to use the cloud scenario or to have your data just on-prem. All these are possible, and all these allow for continuous monitoring scenario. Okay, so let's jump into the second demonstration. Let me share the screen here. And we go back to the project hub in a second. Yeah, and we've seen how we identified the RPA candidates. Now, we have already imported or implemented some bots, and they have been executed. So if we look at the first view here, that's the project process view, we can see already the high-level process that you know. And this one is correlated with the bot execution. So it is using the same hierarchical process mining technology that you can see here, the cluster, and you can again drill down into that, but I will just, to be short, expand it all. And you will see that the whole manual activity that was previously included in the process was exchanged with several activities executed by a bot. So the same bot, as you might remember from the first variant, is copying the value, searching in an application, and then copying the value to a second application. And then the process continues further with some manual activities. Now, there are some problems. Let's say there are some problems with the process. So what this allows you to do is to really drill down into the bot execution and to find out, for example, here in this performance view, if there are some activities that are, for example, taking too long time. So there is a search button being clicked, and this takes like 17 minutes. And then when it is saved, it might, in average, take 50 minutes. This might be troubles caused by, let's say, systems that are not let's say, prepared for the number of bots, or you might have performance problems with your servers. So this might be some technical issues that happen there. And of course, you might get this information from monitoring just the pure bots. But in some of the cases, some of the dashboards with the RPA technology, you cannot drill down into really getting know where the problem is happening. So what you can do here is, of course, correct those problems, have the bots re-implemented in some cases, and have it running. Now, process mining allows you to do the same analysis again. So again, we can we corrected those problems and we imported the same high-level log correlated with the log from monitoring of the bots, and we get a very similar view. If we zoom in, we can see that the problems here are corrected. So the search button is taking just a few seconds. The clicking save is taking a few seconds. But still, if we look at the general statistics, we can see that it is taking approximately the same time as the original process. Now, what might be the next problem? The bots are running fine, everything is okay. And that's where process compare allows you to just compare it with the original process to get the idea where the problem might occur. So we add a new layer. We add a layer with the original one, so the original invoice process. And we add it as a layer on top of that. So we do not show it next to each other, but really show it in one picture, colorful, with coloring based on the specific layer. So here you can see the same process where the green activities and paths are the ones that were happening in the original process. You can see the manual enter of the order number taking around 6 hours. That's an activity that is no longer happening. There are some new activities, the blue ones. These are the bots running, so you can remember that from the previous view. So you can see the bots running here. The orange ones are the ones that are common for both processes, for the original one and for the new one. And these are mostly, in hybrid processes, these are activities performed by people. And as the halo effects clearly show you, we have some problem here in the approving on specific level. And this particular activity is suddenly in the new process, the automated process, is taking plus 2.4 hours. And this might be caused with something that we call bottleneck shift. The bots are running fine, they're doing great work, but instead of, let's say, 10 invoices per day, which was the performance of people doing that manual task beforehand, they are suddenly producing 100 invoices for approval. And with the same number of people or employees on this particular activity, which is performed by people, you cannot get the same performance. So actually, it's taking them too much time to approve those invoices. And you can get some details when you click on the activity. And the important thing is that you can do this analysis on a regular basis. Minute allows you to refresh the data. So if you have the data source connected, you can, on a regular basis, automatically refresh the data down to the level of really minutes. Or days, if you want, depending on your process, of course. And what's even more important is that you have the possibility to do it in a dashboard. So you can publish the results of your monitoring and of your analysis into an interactive web-based dashboard for your process stakeholders or for your management. And I have to log on once again. And you have the same view, or you will see the same view with the data, with the process map, including the hierarchical map, but also including other visualizations that you know from let's say, business intelligence suits. So you can always monitor your processes, your KPIs, whether the bot execution influences some other part of your process. Everything is interactive here. So let's say we want to filter, make a selection for a certain part of the world and look at the process there. The map is filtered, the other visualizations are filtered, they are interconnected. So anything you click in the map, it converts into filter in the other parts of the dashboard. And of course you can you have the opportunity to modify it as a self-service, so you can modify your dashboards, you can create your own from scratch. You can use the storyboarding feature that allows you to create reports that are again interactive. So here we have an example of a report with the live data sheet inserted right in there. And this can be exported as a PowerPoint or a PDF, so you can really present this for the process stakeholders or the management on regular meetings. And if there are any questions on the monitoring, you just go there and click live in the data sheet and answer the questions right away. There are other possibilities or other features, like if we go back to the sheets and you don't know, or you might want some suggestion with the visualizations, there are so-called insights where you can just using a regular let's say natural language, you can just ask questions, let's say. So we want to see average case duration by, I don't know, country. No, what was that? By supplier location, and the system will just offer you different visualizations based on your question, and of course on how you used the dashboards before or how you used the data before, and you just add it to the sheet and publish it to anyone that is interested. So this is the combination of Minute Dashboards and Minute Analyst in order to monitor the whole end-to-end process, to show you how the human task force is working together with bots in a let's say synergy, and giving you the value of really finding the missing ROI in your RPA initiatives. So to summarize it, some analysts, and I could mention names as Gartner and others, they sometimes say that RPA should be called RTA because it's robotic task automation, not robotic process automation. And they are partially true because hybrid processes are the core right now. But we are moving slowly to really automate the whole process. And we know there are BPM initiatives. There are further RPA initiatives based on some artificial intelligence that are finding many ways to automate the whole process. But synergy between process mining and RPA gives you the possibility to really talk about the process automation, about the process monitoring, and not just about single tasks. That's the difference between monitoring just the bots and monitoring an end-to-end process. The end-to-end process monitoring gives you a possibility to find the bot issues, to make resolutions of the bot issues, which you probably do that right now, but it also gives you the possibility to find the so-called bottleneck shifts and identify them in the process and make countermeasures to overcome those problems, not by kicking out, I would say, let's say kicking out the RPA out of your enterprise, but by taking some measures to allow the humans to work together with the bots. And of course, the continuous monitoring gives you the possibility to make immediate actions. In the dashboard, you can just clearly see what is happening to the action, and this really empowers you to make a continuous improvement in your enterprise. Yeah, so That's all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. And of course, if there are any questions after the session, just feel free to contact us. We are more than happy to answer them as well.
Okay, well, there are a number of questions, so we'll try to get through as many as we can. Len or Lene would like to know if you can highlight some of the RPA providers that you have experience collaborating with. I know you mentioned a couple during your presentation, but maybe a few partners and the way in which you work with them.
Yes, so I mentioned UiPath, I mentioned Automation Anywhere. There's where we have already prepared packages for the monitoring use case. We are working with most of the RPA vendors that, of course, are in the, let's say, analyst magic quadrants. So we're working with Blue Prism, with NICE, with Edgeworth. Anyway, the topic of monitoring of RPA and or end-to-end processes with RPA within RPA initiatives is not really for us vendor dependent. So we can find a way if you are using some RPA vendor that might be smaller one, but innovative. We are more than happy to work with you and to find a way how to leverage that.
Fantastic. Usman would like to know, what is the output of the process mining tool per minute? Can it create PDDs for RPA developers?
Well, right now, the output of Minute is more the result of analysis. So I was showing the kind of possible skeleton, because we have that data from the recording when a good recorder is used to record that user actions, so we can get the variant with the data. But currently, we are working on creating the output for the RPA developers. Right now, it is basically the skeleton that you've seen that you can use just as a result of analysis to create your own bot. So it's a work in progress, I would say.
Stay tuned, and sounds like it's nice to know that someone else has that question, because it might raise it on the priority list. So next question is from Shashank. Shashank would like to know, how do you filter the noise from data? Some processes might span into multiple days or weeks. How does the tool identify that it's a single business process and not multiple?
Yeah, so here we are talking about the identification. Of course, it depends. It depends on the process. It's always a way about finding way what to record. Some of the recorders are used really to record specific let's say parts of the day when the particular activities are used. But we use algorithms and we use process context to make sense out of what is important for the process, and the correlation with the high-level logs actually gives us a sense of what is which part of the recording is actually that important part in that process. So of course. Process mining allows you to, as you've seen, analyze the different variants. We are right now not automatically telling you what is the right variant, or actually like finding really different variations that might be doing the same thing. But that's also like a second stage where we are cooperating with research departments on the universities around the world to find a way how to do that more and more automatically.
Fantastic. So back to Usman again, who would like to know, does the Minute tool require event logs to be in a certain template? If so, how much effort is required to match that template?
That's a good question. I would not say we require a certain template. So Minute can import different file formats, the usual ones like CSV, XS, MXML. You can export data from Excel or import data from Excel, XS. You can connect to SQL Server. You can run a query, join tables. You can use any ODBC driver to connect to any system. Basically, where you have an ODBC driver, you can connect to this to that particular system. Right now, we are working with the result of that should be a single table, and the only thing that is needed is to have the case ID, which is the identification of the process instances. So, for example, in our case of the invoice approval process, that's the invoice number. The activity itself should be in the log, and the timestamp. That's I'm talking here about the high-level logs. For the recording logs, we do not have the recording capability directly in Minute, so please do not expect that Minute will record that. But we are cooperating with the vendors of or third parties that are creating these recorders, have more experience with that, and I can tell you that excuse me, they provide logs in many different formats, and we can work with that. So. Actually, there is not much time needed for that. Of course, if we get, for those recorders that we already used, there are some 2 or 3 of them. We have it out of the box. For if you have any other software in mind, we can work with that. Most probably, it will be something similar, some JSON, some XML, something that we can work with. But nothing special. It depends on the level of recording. There might be data that are not needed for the whole analysis, that are more relevant for the RPA developers. But Minute can work with as many attributes as you want, so you can add it as additional attributes, use it for filtering for further analysis. So not a problem.
Okay, and I'm going to move back to a slide because Matt had this question when you had one of your earlier slides up that I'm going to bring up. Matt wanted to know, is the 5-step process life cycle only focused on non-automated processes, or can you also apply it to a partially fully automated process to analyze it effectively?
Yeah, this is a very good question. Thank you for that. I would say this process lifecycle is basically universal, and if you had a chance to maybe look at the process I was showing, and mainly the performance analysis, you might have seen there were some activities that took on the average several seconds, and it is actually a process that was partially automated. So. And not using RPA technology, but using a BPM suite. So you have a semi-automated process. Some of the activities are automated. The activity that we found, the manual entering of the order number, is something that the BPM suite. Okay, the story behind that is there is an invoice which is scanned, automatically recognized. If it finds the order number on that invoice, it goes directly to approval. If not, then the process redirects it to the manual entering of the order number, and there is a person who needs to search in SAP system and copy the data to to the BPM engine, to the application or to the form associated with the invoice, and move it further for approval. So actually. And we managed to do this analysis on top of this automated process. So you can really find many ways how to redefine the process, even though it's automated, even though parts of it are automated. Of course, there is a lot about monitoring because you have mostly hybrid processes. Even if the process is completely automated, you can use process mining to look at, for example, integrations or cooperation between different systems, between different modules, components. So activities are not performed by human task force, but they are performed by some modules, by, for example, even in the IoT world, by something like production lines. So there are some components, some steps, and you can use the same thing for monitoring this and improvement of these automated processes as well.
Okay, thank you. I think we're going to try to get through 2, maybe 3 more questions. Carlos would like to know, and I know several people have this question, how is the product licensed? Is it a corporate license, individual? Can you install it on the client, or which is controlled by a user? So that's the main question, is about the licensing structure and licensing options. And any guideline on how soon you can get results from the tool? Any kind of considerations or things that would be what drives how quickly you can get results?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so the licensing model, so there are actually 2 products, Minute Analyst and Minute Dashboards. As I've shown in the demo. The Minute Analyst is focused more on the analysis part. There are several deployment scenarios. You can have it as a standalone solution, so you install it on your notebook and just analyze your data offline without any connectivity to the server. So you use it like that. Or in a client-server solution deployment scenario where you have the server either on-prem or in the cloud, and you have small clients installed on your client computers. This allows for example, automatic refresh. This allows to connect Minute dashboards to it. This allows collaboration. So if you have a team of several people working on an analysis of a process, you should use what we call Minute Analyst Enterprise Edition. This suite is licensed per user. So we do not limit the number of processes you can analyze or data sets, but it's per user and it's a subscription model. So there is a yearly fee for users, and there we have some packages with the number of users and some consulting services as well connected to that. Minute dashboards are licensed in the same way, but there are 2 types of so per user, per user per year, but there are 2 types of users. There are users who can just view the results, which are cheaper and have limited access to the functionality, and there are designers who can really create those dashboards, modify them, like power users use all the visualizations and create the dashboards and play with that. So, but again, the same type of licensing without the other limitations. Connected with the question, how fast does the results come from your tool? Well, if we are talking about let's say the standard process mining analysis, I think the time to results is probably one of the fastest in the industry with Minute. When we overcome the initial phase of really getting access to the data, finding the right systems, which is done in a cooperation with of course, with the customer, then Minute offers this predefined views and focuses your attention with the visualizations and the data centricity on the important stuff in the process. So from my experience, where we did, let's say, a POC from SAP system for one of a manufacturing customers, 1 day to 2 days was interaction with the customer and getting the data out of the SAP system, because there were several iterations for that. So they found out they need some more data, so another round of extraction and then getting the data to Minute. Then the second day was a workshop or kind of a training on that data. And third day or fourth day was actually looking at the data together with the customer and getting some first results of an analysis. So if I round it up, it might be a week. Of course, it depends on things like having the access to your systems ready and so on. But really, like working with the data and getting the results, that's up to 1 week.
All right. Well, I think it gives us just the background we need, and it's taken us right up to time. I know we had a lot of people's questions we didn't get to. They were phenomenal questions. So I will be sending them on to Mikhail, and he'll be able to get back to you via email with those. So please don't worry that you got a lot of very specific information you were looking for. We will get that back to you. So thank you. This was fabulous. We got to see the product and how it works through. And I will say, as a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt myself, it gives me goosebumps every time I see this. I'm thinking, how much more exciting is this than Post-it notes and video diagramming? This is really an exciting addition to both process excellence, optimization, and what automation can bring to us. So thanks for all that information. For our attendees, big thank you for those of you listening live as well as those listening to on demand. I wanted to let you know we have 4 things available for you in the Resource Center. A lot of you were asking about the slide deck, so I went ahead and put that out there for you. You can refresh your screen and you'll see it, or tomorrow when you get the recording link, you'll be able to see that. In addition, you'll have the little overview of the product that will answer some of the questions that came in that we didn't get to, and maybe a refresher for some of the ones we went through. There's a fabulous ebook about how to get automation right in the 2019, and also a video. I mentioned for many of you working on ROI, thinking about how to calculate it, how to approach it, to be sure to take a chance to look at that video. And I also wanted to share with you that coming up just in 30 minutes from now, just enough time to get a quick drink, quick break, we have our last session of day 1, which is going to be talking about an integrated automation conversation. What is it and how to prepare for it? In order to get ready for that session, on the lower part of your screen, there's a little green button with a double arrow. That is the next session screen, so just push it there. It will queue up the next session for you so you can be all ready once you get a cup of tea and come back. So thank you so much, Mikhail, for that. That was absolutely fabulous. A special thanks to everyone joining us. We hope to see you back in 30 minutes. And on this note, this now concludes this webinar session. Good day, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.